Good morning, good morning. I thank you for watching this video this morning. Like, comment, and share. Of course, God bless you for watching this video. I hope you learn something that will help you throughout your life today. Now, before we get into the topic that we're going to talk about, I would just like to read something, words of encouragement this morning from Matthew 16, verse 24 from the Bible. So it says, Then Jesus said to his disciples, Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. So once again, Matthew 16, verse 24 says, Then Jesus said to his disciples, Whoever wants to be my disciple, right, must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. And so, what I want, this has a little something to do with the topic. And the topic today is called forgiveness, right? Now, Jesus says, forgive, because if you forgive others, right, then I will also forgive you. And everybody have sins and everybody have something that they need forgiveness for, which is true. However, I want people to forgive with wisdom because you see, if you forgive, what happens after? Because forgiveness is one stage, but the aftermath of forgiveness is much different. So, in this episode, in this video, I'm going to explain how the devil uses a form of forgiveness, the method forgiveness, as a weapon against, God's children. You see, there are many cases where if somebody have wronged you and they didn't know, right? And that caused problems for you, you can forgive them. And of course, because of the forgiveness, you let go of everything that took place, every situation, right? But you can't forget that situation simply because it can also take place again if you entirely forget about the circumstances, about that situation. Because you see, worshiping God is free hearted. You have to be kind hearted. You have to let go of your burdens, right? And of course, Jesus says, if you want to, right, be my disciple, you must, lay down, basically. Hold on. You know, you must deny yourselves. That means you have to forgive others. You know, you have to deny yourself entirely what is flesh, what disturbs you, you know, the things them that you love. You can't love them more than you can love God. And of course, abide by his rules, his 10 commandments, right? All these things are important. However, God also says, apply wisdom to your actions, simply because sometimes the devil can create an environment because he's a master of illusions and create an environment where in that environment dwells all his children, where they like to tend to isolate an individual or people, their victims, right? And basically attack them from all types of angles. So, what needs to happen is when these situations occur, you can still forgive because God says forgive, but forgive with wisdom, meaning Take caution in what you are doing, simply because if you do not take caution, if you do not forgive, but yet then have a form of protection, you can initially be subject to more attacks from the same individual or individuals, simply because you see, you forgive, your heart is light. You let go of that situation that caused problems for you. And of course, you move on, but you move on with wisdom as well, knowing that that situation, right, can happen again. So you must prevent that situation from occurring with the restrictions of what? Forgiveness, meaning you forgive, but you don't forget. And the trust levels have become very, very low towards that individual or that situation, simply because you don't want it to happen again. Because that is a form of wisdom, protecting yourself from certain circumstances. Because guess what? Sometimes, due to what? The person or that cause harm for you, due to their position of relationship in your life, right? They could take the harm that they're causing you for granted, meaning that they can say, well, this type of thing that I have caused for this individual, I know that they will forgive me, right? And because of the level of relationship, their guards will be down and their safety levels would be what? Lower, and they will trust me more simply because of what I mean for this individual. And I am here to tell you that using wisdom, applying wisdom in your forgiveness helps, because guess what? You will take certain moderate actions so that it doesn't entirely affect you throughout your journey. You know what I mean? So, for example, let's say you have a family member where they know who you are, they have lived with you, they have grew with you, and maybe they wronged you. And so forgiving them is also for you. But don't forgive them entirely where it's blind. That means every what they did, you have forgiven. But you have not forgotten, simply because later on, that same level of trust, if you give them again, they can use that to attack you. You see what I mean? Level of clearance. It's just like this. If you have an employee goes to a store, you trust them with positions like management positions to be able to take over and look after the store or organization. They look after the financial side and everything, right? So they oversee the business. And let's say they start taking from the business, but then you didn't realize, right? And so maybe they're close to you, they're a family member or something like that. So you're not going to fire them entirely. Maybe you might just say, you know what? You can't get management position, right? What you did, I'm sure you had, your excuses and stuff like that. But for the safety of the business and for my, state of clarity, I need you to step down, right? So you might just be, an employee that have, you come to work and you just go, but you're not going to be trusted with high level of clearance again. Do you see what I mean? Meaning that you have forgiven them, but you also have applied a position where this attack can't happen again. simply because guess what? You don't want it to happen again. And so that is the intelligence of wisdom that you must apply in other situations of forgiveness. Because guess what? Everybody wants forgiveness, everybody deserves forgiveness. But Jesus, in some ways, have forgiven the people that, crucified him, they lied, they denied him. He forgave everybody. Judas was somebody that simply, you know, couldn't take what he did, and he didn't wait around. So he ended up, causing harm to himself, right? But he was even willing to forgive them. But that doesn't mean, right? Those who rejected Jesus entirely and still reject Jesus, they got forgiveness. No, because guess what? They did not respect Jesus and they still don't. Do you see what I mean? So if the person that you, what's it called, have forgiven still has not changed, meaning they haven't done anything different, they still behave the same towards you, their trust towards you, what basically they expect the trust that you had to be rekindled, that you trust them again, but they're not willing to change. You have to take caution in that aspect, because guess what? They can still use that based on their position that they have with you to, prominently attack you in many ways. Because guess what? You're going to deny yourself and follow Jesus. But Jesus wants you also to be smart and intelligent. And this is not just for the physical perspective, but spiritual perspective. We are in a spiritual war. The enemy plans and is carefully, strategize against the enemies, the children of God. He also uses methods of forgiveness, right? Induce fake forgiveness in order to attack the children of God, meaning forcing your hand. You see what I'm saying? Because they are also clever. The enemy is also clever in many levels, meaning that they, Lucifer can just jump into anybody, right? Just like how he was able to attack Job, he's also able to use anybody to fight children of God, depending on your circumstances. And so, what I mean is, they can go in depth and say, well, they cause harm for you. Let it go so things can take place. Yes, you have let it go. However, your trust and your defense is still up simply because you cannot allow it to keep happening. That's how people take advantage of you. You see what I mean? And you don't allow people to take advantage of you just because they are close to you. See what I mean? Because in this world today, God even says wisdom is what? Due to what? The circumstances that you have been through. So you had to have undergone a lot of what? Situations, and you learn from it. So you have to apply it to your life as you grow, as a person, as an individual. So remember, have a forgiving heart, but also have a protecting mind, a mindset that's going to help you, because you can't forgive and say, well, I let go of everything and, everything's okay, and give the same kind of trust. That is not wise. The person has to earn the trust back. They have to do major work in order for you to be on that same level. Because if you choose not to, and you just, you let go of everything right away, right? Then what happens is right? It takes away from you. It is taken away from you, because then that means, let's say you were able to bounce back, but it took a lot of work. It took you a lot of work to be stable, to be standard and strong. Your foundation is strong again, right? You don't want to throw that away again if you just say, you know what, the person that caused all of this thing to crumble in the first place, and I was able to stabilize it again, I'm just going to blindly, let that person come and cause problems again, or come in my circle again. Protect your circle, protect your aura, protect your energy. Because guess what? The enemy, right, is after your energy, is after your position, is after your foundation. And guess what? Because it didn't work, is why now forgiveness has to be applied. Now, when you do that, right, do that with caution, do that with a state of understanding, state of wisdom, because you don't want it to affect you in the long run. See what I'm saying? Words of wisdom, words of understanding. Like I said before, God is always, you know, beneficial. You can thank the Lord. In the last episode, when I was saying, thank the Lord for everything, thank the Lord for helping you, have a great state of mind where then the things that you desire, right, you can obviously, walk in that path. But use wisdom. Wisdom must be applied in everything that you do. If you forgive, apply wisdom with the forgiveness, because the wisdom will give you an analysis of how to what then deal with the individual or the situation. How are you doing? Right? Allow you to deal with that situation. So, do you have any questions about what we're talking about? So, we're talking about forgiveness, but having the wisdom so that your foundation does not get attacked, because you are important and every human being is special. But a lot of people lack, you know, yeah, you can go ahead. A lot of people lack wisdom in the sense of how they apply many things, right? You see what I mean? A lot of people lack wisdom in many things because, I mean, if what's it called? If you have many things in your life that people might say, well, you don't have what's it called? You know, don't hold on to grudges and stuff like that. Yes, don't hold on to it, but always make sure that you apply wisdom and understanding, simply because every situation is different. Sometimes situations may take place right at hand that you may not understand. However, right, due to how you are as an individual, right, due to how you are as an individual, as a person, right, your destiny is all different. And so, depending on how special you are, then the spiritual attacks or physical manifestations that are created, right? Because everything that takes place in the spiritual will take place physically. See what I mean? However, you must strengthen your spiritual side so that you oversee a lot of attacks that takes place, because there is nobody that gets attacked physically without getting attacked spiritually. That's how things take place in this world today. And I want people to understand, right? Our life is important, but we are left in charge because we're given a free will to be able to defend and protect ourselves due to what? Connecting with God. So we must understand that it is truly important to apply wisdom to forgiveness. You forgive, but you don't also forget. You understand? Because guess what? The trust of an issue, if somebody, right, is simply close to you and they can see that going against you is the easiest way, then that means your level of trust has to also be earned on a high level, meaning that it's harder to, forget that situation simply because it's so easy for the individual or individuals to basically, you know, create go against you, right? So if people go against you, that is a word of opinion, a sense of opinion, which is okay. People can go against you. Not everybody's going to agree with you. But there are certain things that if people don't agree with you on, even though if let's say you're right, right, and they don't agree, then they were never for you to begin with. They're always against you. It's just the time frame that, they were looking in order to basically create next situations. Because guess what? Things, somebody that is distant from you, they won't know you as much as the person that is close to you. See what I mean? And so you have to analyze the situation, the circumstance, and say, well, how can this be an opposing situation where a person has a divided understanding of a matter that took place that needed to be dealt with? Do you see what I mean? So that means it was always an attack against you. However, it was a strategized attacks. So the forgiveness can come, yes, but your intelligence also must work. And you denying yourself, right, entirely doesn't mean you don't have thoughts and understanding, that you don't have wisdom, right? Your fleshly wisdom is different from God's spiritual wisdom. And yes, you must clear and give all your baggage to what? Jesus Christ, all your sins, because everybody have sins. However, right, Jesus also says, go and sin no more. So if he is saying go and sin no more, then what that means is go and use your wisdom so that you won't fall into that, right, temptation anymore. And you won't do the same thing again. So use your intelligence, use your wisdom. So that's what he's saying. You know what I mean? God's words are multiversal. Anything that he is saying can be used in, you know, various situations. So sin no more, right? Go and sin no more also means go and apply wisdom so that you will not sin anymore. So it's forgive, but don't forget that situation so that you don't fall into that situation. You see what I mean? Temptation is something that applies and it breaks down your core beliefs in order for you to then, because it gives you a sense of reasoning, oh, do this. But then the consequences is much more severe. However, everybody sins and everybody loses, battles, but that doesn't mean you lose the war. So, in order to win the wars, you must apply successful wisdom to every battle that you have lost in order to learn. Because true failure is not doing anything, true failure is not applying wisdom to what you are doing. So, remember, these things are truly important in everything that you do, right? In everything that you do. That is how life is. You know what I mean? The one that is wise is the one that learns, right? From everything you absorb. You don't talk as much. However, you are learning. But if you have much to share, you must try to express it to the highest of your degree so that others may take that insight and input so that people can learn. That is how it works. See what I mean? So remember, wisdom is to be applied in everything that you do. You forgive for every situation. For God says, if you have forgiven, you have done nothing. You see what I mean? You have not given anything. That is part of human life. But be careful. Have the wisdom also for the protection of your foundation. Simply because if you forgive and you say, you can forgive like a child, but a child in the back of their mind also understands that this person can also cause problems for me. So the movements that you take with the relationship in that situation must have wisdom, you know? That doesn't mean you screw up your face or you do all of these things. No, it just simply means be careful in the circumstances that you're in so that you don't fall victim to problems at hand later on in that situation due to the type of what convenience that the individual or the individuals have towards you. Because if they create a convenient situation, then every time they feel like they can always attack you and then criticize you about being not being forgivable. Or that's a form of way of attacking you. Or you have not forgiven the person. You have, but you have not forgot. So you not forgetting, right, may come with restrictions that may seem like you have not forgiven the person, but truly you have. It just you have not forgotten, and you also have a form of protection in that case and in that matter, which is wisdom, right? If you sin and guess what? You ask God for forgiveness and He forgives you. His instructions is go and sin no more. That means don't go and sin again. So if you go and sin, that the problem that took place in your life can double. Do you see what I mean? In doing that same situation in the law system, right? Somebody that caused, if somebody did something and they caught them the first time, maybe they give them a warning or they get a light sentence. If they do that again, they get a much longer sentence the second time. So, why is that? It's simply because they didn't learn from the first time, right? And Jesus says the same thing too. If you went and caused problems, right? And now you got forgiveness for, and then what? You go ahead and do the same thing again. That means you didn't respect the first time. So therefore, the problems that may occur again, the consequences that may occur again, is double. So just remember that. Always stay motivated, stay focused, and be willing to forgive, but also apply wisdom in your situation at hand. See what I mean? Because sometimes if people feel or people have convenience connection with you or created a convenience connection with you, they use that as an advantage to create motives against you. Do you see what I mean? And that's what you need to be wise about. Because guess what? Jesus' disciples dropped everything and they denied themselves and followed Jesus. But they were also wise people. They asked questions. What's it called? They showed resistance so that they can be what? Create a greater relationship with God. Simply because in life, God does not want people that, does not know anything. He doesn't want people that don't take no action. He doesn't want people that don't want to apply wisdom because then they won't have the capability to believe. They won't have the capability to have faith. They won't have the capability to what's it called? To to be wise. Hmm? And all of those require you to what? To think, right? So then apply knowing what you know about the situation so that it can benefit you and the circumstance so you don't fall into what? Temptation. You don't fall into a deeper victimization. Hmm? Just remember that. But forgive because it helps you. It's an antidote for you. But be wise with it. Those are the words of wisdom. So thank you once again for watching this video. I ask that God blesses you for taking the time to listen to what I have said and what God is saying. Simply because, guess what? We are humans, we can learn from each other. We must also apply wisdom in all our ways. Thank you and have a great day. Bye now.